The 1982 P. Washington quarter dollar is an important issue in modern U.S. numismatics, not because it carries a high face value or precious metal content, but because of the unusual circumstances surrounding its production and release. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the P. Mint mark that appears on the obverse under the motto, "In God We Trust," the coin is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series that began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The obverse design, by sculptor John Flanagan, features a left-facing portrait of Washington, while the reverse depicts a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both military readiness and peace. By 1982, the U.S. Mint had fully transitioned away from the silver composition of pre-1965 quarters, striking the coins instead from a copper-nickel-clad planchet composed of a pure copper core layered with a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy on both sides, resulting in a total weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge. What makes the 1982 quarters, including the Philadelphia issue, particularly notable is that the Mint did not produce official uncirculated mint sets or proof sets for collectors that year due to federal budget cuts, which means that high-quality examples must be obtained from circulation or from private holders who preserved coins directly from bank rolls and bags at the time of release. This absence has elevated the demand for well-struck, mint-state specimens, especially those with strong luster and minimal contact marks, since most 1982 P quarters were heavily circulated and quickly acquired ware. Adding to collector interest are die varieties and errors. The most famous is the 1982 P quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet. Rare mint error likely caused by leftover planchets being mixed into regular production, though other errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and weak strikes are also encountered. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint struck an enormous number, 500,931,000 quarters in 1982, which makes circulated examples very common, but higher-grade coins, especially those graded MS-65 or better by PCGS or NGC, are scarcer and more desirable, sometimes reaching prices of $50 to several $100s depending on strike quality and eye appeal. At the highest levels, superb gem coins with deep frost, sharp details, and full luster can command even stronger premiums. Collectors also note that the 1982 P quarter is part of a tough 3-year run, 1980 to 1982, for clad Washington quarters, as none of those years saw official mint sets produced, making all coins from this period more challenging to obtain in pristine condition. Today, while most 1982 P quarters in circulation are worth only their face value of 25 cents, coin enthusiasts, registry set participants, and error specialists continue to prize this issue for its historical significance, condition rarity, and the challenges it poses for assembling a high-grade Washington quarter collection. Next up, the United States quarter dollar dated 1999 with a mint mark, D, is part of the famous 50-state quarters program, one of the most widely collected and celebrated coin series in American numismatic history. The program was launched by the U.S. Mint in 1999 to honor all 50 U.S. states with unique reverse-back designs, issued in the order that each state ratified the Constitution or joined the Union. The 1788 date you see on the coin does not represent the minting year, but instead refers to the year that the particular state featured on the quarter ratified the Constitution or was admitted into the United States. In the year 1999, the first 5 state quarters were released: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut. All of these states officially ratified the Constitution in 1787 or 1788, which is why you see 1788 prominently displayed on some of the coins struck that year, including Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut. The 1999 year appears on the coin as the year of issue, while the D mint mark identifies that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. On the obverse front, the coin continues to feature the traditional portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan and slightly modified for the series, with inscriptions reading, "United States of America, Liberty, in God We Trust," and quarter dollar. On the reverse back, each state has its own symbolic artwork. For example, Pennsylvania's quarter shows the Commonwealth statue and an outline of the state. New Jersey's features George Washington crossing the Delaware River. Georgia's has a peach, oak sprigs, and the state motto, and Connecticut's displays the famed charter oak tree. The inclusion of 1788 on these coins connects the design to the state's entry into the Union, symbolizing both historical significance and pride in American unity. In terms of mintage and circulation, millions of these quarters were produced at both the Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D, mints, with the D examples often being collected as part of complete sets. While the coins were primarily made for circulation, clad in copper nickel over a copper core, the mint also struck proof versions in San Francisco, including clad and 90% silver editions for collectors. From a value standpoint, most 1999 D state quarters in circulated condition are worth their face value of 25 cents, since they were made in large numbers and heavily used in everyday commerce. However, uncirculated or mint state examples, especially those graded MS-66 or higher by coin grading services like PCGS or NGC, can be worth several dollars to collectors. Proof versions and silver proofs carry higher premiums depending on condition and demand. Certain varieties or minting errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or wrong planchet errors, can fetch significantly more among collectors, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars if rare enough. Still, the main significance of the coin lies less in rarity and more in its cultural and historical value, as the 50 state quarters program sparked one of the largest collecting booms in U.S. history, drawing millions of new enthusiasts into numismatics between 1999 and 2008. Overall, the 1999 D United States quarter dollar featuring the dual dates 1788 and 1999 represents far more than just a piece of pocket change. It is a symbol of state pride, a celebration of American history, and a reminder of how coinage can connect everyday life with the nation's past. The inclusion of 1788 highlights the foundational period of the United States when states were ratifying the Constitution, while 1999 marks the beginning of a modern program that revitalized interest in U.S. coin collecting. Even if most of these coins are common in circulation, they hold strong sentimental, educational, and collectible value, and for many Americans, they serve as a keepsake of the turn of the millennium when the nation embarked on this ambitious and unifying numismatic journey. Next top. The 2017 United States quarter dollar bearing the P mint mark is a fascinating and historically meaningful coin, notable both as part of the long-running America the Beautiful Quarters program and as a landmark in the history of American coinage. To understand its significance, one must first look at the origins of the quarter dollar itself, a denomination that has existed since 1796 and has long been central to everyday commerce in the United States. The 2017 P quarter dollar is struck from a clad composition, outer layers of copper nickel bonded to a pure copper core, measuring 24.26 millimeters in diameter and weighing 5.67 grams, making it consistent with all modern clad quarters issued since 1965. Its edge is reeded with 119 reeds, a detail inherited from centuries of minting tradition originally intended to discourage the shaving or clipping of precious metal from coins back when silver was used in their manufacture. The obverse of the 2017 quarter continues to carry the modernized portrait of George Washington designed by sculptor John Flanagan and adapted by William Cousins, showing Washington's bust facing left, with the word liberty inscribed to the left, in God we trust to the right, the denomination quarter dollar at the bottom, and, crucially for this coin, the mint mark P position near Washington's ponytail. This mint mark indicates the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest United States mint facility and a cornerstone of American coinage history since its establishment in 1792. What makes the 2017 Philadelphia quarter particularly special is the appearance of the P mint mark itself. For over 2 centuries, quarters minted in Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all, except during a brief period in the 1980s when mint sets included special P-marked coins. In 2017, however, To celebrate the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint, officials decided to include the P mint mark on all quarters struck in Philadelphia for general circulation. This was the first time in history that the P mint mark was used on a circulating Philadelphia quarter, making the 2017 P issue a landmark and instantly collectible, even though it was produced in the hundreds of millions. While the mint mark itself does not change the intrinsic metallic value of the coin, it created a milestone in numismatics because it distinguished the year 2017 as one in which a tradition stretching back to George Washington's presidency was altered in a subtle yet permanent way. Collectors recognized immediately that this marked a departure from over 225 years of convention, and although the coin itself is common in circulation, pristine uncirculated examples or full mint rolls are often saved in large numbers as keepsakes of the anniversary. Beyond its mint mark, the 2017 quarter belongs to the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 to 2021, issuing 5 new reverse designs each year that honored national parks and historic sites in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. The 2017 series included 5 reverses: Effigy Mounds National Monument in Iowa, Frederick Douglass National Historic Site in Washington, D.C., Ozark National Scenic Riverways in Missouri, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty National Monument in New Jersey, and George Rogers Clark National Historical Park in Indiana. Each of these designs reflected a unique piece of American heritage, from Native American culture to civil rights history to natural preservation and Revolutionary War bravery. The Philadelphia Mint struck vast numbers of each design, ensuring wide circulation across the country, but collectors take a keen interest in the artistry and symbolism of each. For example, the Effigy Mounds design shows prehistoric earthen mounds built by indigenous peoples. The Frederick Douglass coin depicts the abolitionist seated at a writing desk with his home behind him. The Ozark Riverways design illustrates Alley Mill, a historic grist mill beside a waterway. The Ellis Island quarter portrays an immigrant family arriving at the island with the Statue of Liberty in the background. And the George Rogers Clark design shows Clark and his men during the bold capture of Fort Sackville in 1779. All of these reverses circulated with the Washington obverse, and the P mint mark beneath Washington's portrait identifies Philadelphia as their origin. Mintage figures for the 2017 quarters were enormous, as is typical of circulating coinage. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced hundreds of millions of each design, with combined mintages well over 1 billion for the year, meaning the coins are widely available in circulation and generally not scarce. However, the novelty of the P mint mark ensures that many coin enthusiasts save them, particularly in uncirculated rolls or mint-sealed bags. Collectors often distinguish between circulation strikes and special issues, and in 2017, the U.S. Mint also released proof next top. The quarter dollar, worth 25 cents, has long been one of the most widely recognized and circulated coins in the United States, and its story connects early American coinage with modern collecting programs. The denomination itself first appeared in 1796 under the authority of the Coinage Act of 1792, which had established the United States Mint and set the framework for American currency, but early mintages were very small and sporadic. By 1836, quarters were still produced in limited quantities, struck in silver, and carried the classic capped bust design by John Reich and later modified by William Neese, which featured Liberty facing left on the obverse with a cap and drapery and a small eagle on the reverse. These early issues were hand-engraved, struck on screw presses, and produced in Philadelphia alone, since no branch mints had yet begun quarter production. Fast forward almost 2 centuries, and the quarter had transformed from a silver coin used mainly for everyday commerce into a mass-produced clad coin and, by 2003, a centerpiece of one of the most popular numismatic programs in American history, the 50-State Quarters Program. This program, launched in 1999 and running through 2008, was authorized by Congress to honor each U.S. state with a unique reverse design, issued in the order that the states ratified the Constitution or were admitted into the Union. In 2003, the Mint released 5 new quarters: Illinois, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, and Arkansas. The 2003 P notation identifies coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the primary production facilities, with the P mint mark appearing just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. The obverse, since 1932, had carried the portrait of George Washington by sculptor John Flanagan, first created for the 1932 bicentennial of Washington's birth. While the basic portrait remained in 2003, it was slightly modified in 1999 to adapt to the state designs on the reverse. The 2003 quarters themselves were struck in copper-nickel clad, with a pure copper core and outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy, giving them their familiar silvery appearance while maintaining durability in circulation. Billions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, making them common in circulation but still cherished by collectors for their historical and artistic value. Each state design carried unique symbolism. Illinois featured a young Abraham Lincoln and the state outline. Alabama honored Helen Keller with Braille lettering. Maine depicted a lighthouse and schooner. Missouri showcased the Lewis and Clark expedition with the Gateway Arch, and Arkansas displayed a diamond, mallard, and rice stalks. The 2003 P quarters thus represent not just money, but a nationwide educational and cultural project that brought millions of Americans, both casual savers and serious numismatists, into coin collecting for the first time. Connecting back to the 1836 quarter, one can see how far the U.S. Mint advanced in technology and purpose, from hand-struck silver issues of just a few thousand coins to highly mechanized production in the billions, from simple liberty and eagle motifs to detailed, state-specific tributes with modern symbolism. The 2003 P quarters are not rare in circulation, but they remain historically important, especially in the broader narrative of U.S. coinage. For many Americans, they were part of a cherished ritual of checking pocket change, filling blue Whitman folders, and learning about state history through numismatics, just as the 1836 quarter reminds us of the nation's early struggles to define its identity and establish a monetary system that reflected its independence. Collectors today may view the 2003 P quarter both as an accessible entry point, because it is easy to find in circulation, and as part of a grand lineage stretching back to 1796 and 1836, demonstrating how one denomination can mirror the growth, values, and creativity of a nation over centuries.